Hey everybody, today is March 15th, 2024. I'm Gene, and you're hanging with Uncle. Zane can't be with us this week. He's on a secret squirrel mission, and I'm not divulging his whereabouts because I don't even know him. But anyway, before we get started, please hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow to 1,000 subscribers. And hit that like button. It lets the rest of the universe know that we exist out there. And if you like our content, hit that notification bell on the right, and you'll be notified when we go live and put new content out there. So, having said that, we may not have Zane with us, but we do have our man on the street. Brent, welcome back to the show.
Gene, it's great to be back, brother. Friday show, man. I get to pick a dumbass of the week. I'm excited.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I feel like it's getting too easy to have a dumbass of the week, man.
At the side of a barn, 2 feet in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to score. All the balloons are in front of you. You got a sharp dart. You're going to get at least a little prize.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel with a shotgun.
Poor goldfish.
Oh man. So how you been? It's been a while since we've talked to you.
Yeah, man. I moved back to DC area.
Okay.
I'm right by the Dulles Airport. I came back in because it's election cycle, and I'm here for the election security cycle.
Okay.
So that shit that happened in 2020 happened in 2021 ain't going to be happening. Ain't going to be happening in 2025. So, and that there's a couple reasons I came back, but that was definitely a big reason. I know I had to come back here, and part of the reason was to establish contact with Congresswoman Peltola.
Oh, let's hear about that, because I know we both have tried to reach out to her in the past. So what do you have to talk about Congresswoman Peltola?
So yeah, just to kind of give a little history of it, me and Gene both tried to reach out to her at different times. We spoken to her whole office now. I think it was Brooke, and then Rihanna up at the Anchorage office.
Raina.
And then I spoke to, I think, a Marion. Then I just spoke to another lady, the main scheduler now. So I spoke to the scheduler on probably Wednesday. Her name is Lillian. Okay. And I have direct contact now with them through Gmail. So I try to establish contact with a person, and I do it through usually verbal to begin with. I tell them what I do, cooperate, informant, investigation, blah, blah, blah. So now she knows that she's in the middle of an investigation right now. I told her I'm working with a special agent outside of the Anchorage office, and I was recommended through NOAA. So I said she is now part of the investigation. I thanked her for her time. So I've been doing everything correctly to try to reach out to this woman.
Yeah.
This woman is actually a native woman who's also Russian, who's also Alaskan. So she's been trying to talk to people. She's been on the ballot initially saying she's going to go after big fish, that she's going to help out the native community. Well, since she's gotten office now, there's more Native Americans that died in Alaska in the last 12 months than any time, maybe in recorded history, since the Russians attacked them in the 1800s and caused such a terrible, terrible loss of life in Alaska, going after indigenous population.
What's the common denominator here?
The common denominator is big fish, Trump, Dunleavy, and actually Lisa Murkowski grooming this lady. So Lisa Murkowski has been grooming this lady on what to say and become middle of the road. She's not a middle of the roader.
No.
It seems like Lisa is a middle of the pocketer. So, Gene, you love this. I know you do, because you don't like to see a person say they're Democratic or Republican and then swap office. I think you know something about that in Arizona, right?
Oh, without a doubt, man. My biggest thing is someone that gets elected to use their congressional office as an ATM machine. And our outgoing senator is a resemblance of that slogan. Like when it came time to voting to end the filibuster, she was famous for fundraising on who's going to pay me to vote no on this. And she did it with minimum wage, and she did it with voting rights. And yeah, I have a lot of experience with that firsthand.
Yeah, that's, to me, it's the biggest lie you could make as a congressional person. Is to go ahead and stand up and say, I want to go ahead and help you out. And then she's supposed to represent the Native community. She's a Native person.
Yeah.
She is blind to what's going on. I mean, it's just incredible to me. I mean, she's working with people out of Seattle, and it's a big China area, Russian influence. It's on that side of the coast. The whole West Coast has more of a Chinese Russian influence to that. I don't know if a lot of people understand that or not. When I was investigating Seattle and basically some of the bigger areas of the country, I knew to look at Seattle because all the money there.
Well,
I invested. Huh?
I gotta say, for my home state of Arizona, we're talking about Kristen Sinema going out.
Yep.
And the Senate race in Arizona now is Ruben Gallego versus crazy Carrie Lake, the election denier. So please throw your support toward Ruben Gallego, and it's really an easy choice if you get the moral scale out there and start adding up the feathers. I'm sorry, man, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that was on my brain since you brought it up.
Yeah, no, I could tell it was kind of eating at you. You're thinking about, I gave you a segue, man. I gave you an open shot at it. So I was hoping you would pick up on that. Yeah, for me, like I said, I'm just glad that I could go ahead and talk about a bad Republican or Democrat. When I look at Carrie Lake, man, that lake is polluted, my friend.
Yeah.
That lake is so as the Great Salt Lake has drained, more and more pollution has been blown into the Salt Lake. That pollution from Carrie Lake is blown across the country.
Man,
I'm glad that
on her submarine.
But so anyways, so if Peltola wants to win again, because now she's going against a Republican, I think that was a governor, Bagich, is actually thrown his name into the political baggage campaign for running for office of the Congress, So he's going against actually Mary. So Peltola is running on this cross between Republican and Democrat, and she thinks that's going to keep on helping her out. I think she's getting set up. I really do. I don't know if she notices what's going on, but since she is Russian and there was all this bad shit that happened in the past, and her little, her little thing with the crab, with her and Lisa Murkowski banning the Chinese workers from processing American and Russian crab. Well, Russian crab was just taken off the shelves in Alaska a month and a half ago. So by you actually doing that law, now Japan is a friendly, and they're going to be selling Russian crab. So now that there's no Alaskan crab left, now Japan's going to sell the Russian crab on the market. And according to law, supply and demand, people still want the shit. So you're supplying the war. You're actually helping out the Russians by doing this, and the Chinese by some of your laws that you're doing. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean,
So,
Gene.
just full disclosure, not only did we call to talk about this problem with the hatcheries and the crabs and things that are going on with fish and game, but
Yep.
the issue of monopoly, about, Albertsons and Safeway buying up all the grocery stores, so you only have one source to go through to get your necessities for, like, bread, meat, cheese, milk, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So that was another issue we called to talk to Representative Peltola about. That, to this day, at least I know, I have never gotten a response.
So what happened was, I think it was what Albertsons and Safeway in Alaska, possibly they were trying to join, but at the same time there was another one, Kroger's, and another store trying to join in maybe California or
I think it was the
Arizona.
same thing. Albertsons was trying to buy Kroger's or Fry's. It's Fry's here. When you go back east,
Okay.
like in Arkansas and on the mid coast, it's all Kroger there.
So a few people shot that down.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I look at it as, why are they shooting it down?
Well,
And it's right before election time, right?
here's the thing, man. It has not totally been shot down.
Exactly.
President Biden
Exactly.
has put his finger on the scale, or at least said, hey, we can't do this. It's a bad idea because monopolies are bad. But it's
Yeah.
it's still in the courts, man. And, a decision has not been made on that yet. And I just am wondering when the people are going to stand up and realize where their power lies, man. But we got a couple of minutes left on this issue. I'll let you run with it before we change horses in the stream.
So when I look at that and how Biden played it out, I didn't know actually to this minute what Biden was saying, how he's got his finger on the pulse, blah blah blah. If it's election season, Gene, I'm gonna pimp out. Listen, if I'm a criminal, right, and I want to go ahead and make money off a racket, off of somebody, whatever, they're trying to make a business together. Okay, well, you better come through me. So when I look at it, if Peltola gets money from these companies and other people get money, and all of a sudden they say, oh, the merger goes through, then you know the play. Then you
Yeah.
understand that this wasn't about actually anything else. It was just trying to string out the people for money. So if they actually have the merger go through because they made this and this deal to safeguard the American public, right? We got to safeguard the American public somehow. So if she actually goes through with it and this deal goes through, then you know the play. The play was always the same. It's been the same all along. You pay me, I solve your problems because I'm Congress. Because only Congress can actually make the laws that will benefit your company. So this is just, I mean, just something to think about. Maybe I'm a little bit off on that. What do you think?
No, you're right on, man. I had one question that I wanted to ask you, and then it flew out of my head. Got out of these big old earphones, man. But anyway, would love to know your opinion on that, especially if you listen up in the great Northwest and have an opinion on the subject. We'd love to hear from you. But there's something that I want to talk about, especially because it's an election year, and I don't think it gets enough support, or at least being fairly looked at. And that's the subject of a UBI, a Universal Basic Income. And I think that it's relevant to talk about because every day when we go places, we see evidence of automation taking the place of jobs. Like when you go to the grocery store, and how many people do you see using the checkout instead of going to a cashier who's doing the same thing? Now, I get a discount for checking out my own groceries? or does it cost the same no matter what? See, and there's the point, is that when you use things like the self-checkout, you are justifying taking somebody's job, like the cashier that's working a couple of registers open, and really slowing down production of people, you know, patronizing your store. You're forcing them to self-checkout because you're trying to eliminate the cashier. I just kind of wanted to know your opinion on a UBI.
So I'm for a UBI in a way, like a four-tier system. But it has to be a universal system. You have to look through it through a systems lens of one planet, one economy. It's not really a question of, it isn't really a question of anything except equating a number and putting a value on it. Because really, when you look at what universal income is and how there's been a Jewish jubilee or debts has been forgiven in the past, a lot of this has actually been talked about between countries and actually agreed upon. It's not really a set it's a set number according to what the countries set it upon. So you could easily put a four-tier system in of, say, 25,000, 50,000, 75,000, and 100,000. So there's some proponents I like about it. Now, as for the grocery store example, think of this, Gene. So you might not be having the person that's working to register, but where they're going now is, instead of working to register, they're getting orders together. So now you can order online. So that register worker, the same amount of employees are probably working at that grocery store, but now they're doing different jobs. So now they're getting pre-orders together that people just want to go in and pick up. And then people could come in and actually use the self-checkout, or they could still use the other choice, which is a registered attendant. So now you have more choices in the system to go ahead and modify your buying behavior. So,
but here's the thing: in the long run, if they can justify eliminating those cashier positions, they're still making the same amount of money. People are still buying the same amount of groceries. It's nothing but profit to them because it's called wage elimination.
Yeah, well, there's wage elimination and wage displacement to other roles too. So even in automation, when Elon Musk said, "Oh my God, I'm gonna build this out, make a full automation shop, and you guys don't know what you're doing," so he was selling this kind of more of a bullshit to me because I understood automation. Eventually, you have to have the people work on the machines.
Okay,
so
one of my biggest pet peeves, even my pharmacy, an automated machine calls me. They don't even have the respect of having a person to call me to say, "Hello, Mr. Smith," or "What's up, Gene?" I don't do that to me. I'm a human being. I don't have a machine to answer. So, have a person call me. Don't call me with a machine. It's like that irks me, and that's a job taken away. So to me, that's one of the reasons I do support a UBI, because let's just say, for example, here in Arizona, you got a check for $500. Even if you're working, that's an additional $500 in your pocket to help keep a roof over your head or food in your refrigerator, to keep reliable transportation to get to and from your place of business or work. To me, those are the things that companies are getting richer on, not paying taxes, that we the people are being taken advantage of, and why I support a UBI.
So you support a UBI too. Just just saying the information. So if you support a UBI, this is how I look at a UBI. is you remember how you said in the past, like our laws are a little messed up because each state has different laws and blah blah blah. Well, it's the same thing with a UBI. If you think about it, if a UBI would only work if it truly is universal, right? So you wouldn't have it according to corporations paying you according to a coin or whatever, because that's what they're thinking about doing.
They would
They're
have
actually
to
thinking
adjust the
about,
tax code.
huh?
They would have to adjust the tax code.
Well, so how about instead of taxes, if you have a UBI, you're regulating it through a systems lens, so you wouldn't really need to have taxes because you're already regulating it and you already understand the numbers. So think of it this way, Gene. So if you can't work, you're like, well, born with just say bad genes, unfortunately. Something happened, whatever. We want to take care of you because we're a society. So we're going to pay you $25,000. You're going to live in a 250 square foot home. You're going to live in the same building as the richest people. You're going to go ahead and probably live with maybe the bottom floors, whatever. Because you're maybe handicapped. We need to get you, you're older. We need to get you in and out quicker to get to the hospital because we want to take care of you. Because we love you. Then if you make $50,000, now you're a typical worker. Whether you're a policeman, whatever you are, whatever. Then you're a manager, maybe you're 75,000. Then you're a ruler of a country, president, whatever, you make 100,000. Then every year, that universal income goes back, you're back down to zero.
No, I disagree. I think if
Okay.
you look at the wage gap, how every year the top earners in the country earn significantly more than the bottom workers in the country. If we adjust those tax codes to bring the wage gap closer in order, that money, those unpaid taxes, can be used as a UBI. And therefore, that's one way of helping to stop corporate greed and pay for something that will actually help people like you and me.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been a country for almost 250 years, Gene.
That's because
Has
they
it worked?
cater.
I mean, it had greed. Greed is a bad person.
It
He's
is.
where's his ugly head. No matter what party you are, whatever, you just need to go ahead and control yourself and control your wants. Understands what your needs are, and that's a basic human instinct.
It
really
is. And honestly, Brent, it can happen because all it takes, and I've said this before, there is somebody running for Congress in your district that supports a UBI. Vote for that candidate. That's how you make things happen. You do it with your vote. The power of the people is stronger than the people in power if they use that power.
But didn't we just talk about Peltola abusing her power and switching parties and blah blah blah? So that's the thing, is there's been a lot of bad examples of that happening.
Well,
so that's why you got to have control mechanisms.
Exactly.
It's an economic control mechanism is what I'm talking about.
And that control system is the vote to stop people like Peltola from using her position for power. You vote them out and put somebody in that will represent your interest and not use their office as an ATM machine.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to deal with the media. You got to deal with a lot of people. So they're going to get out the story that they want to go ahead and you hear most of the time. It's very hard to get out any other story that is kind of a little bit maybe against the grain a little bit according to what they want to go ahead and project. So that's the problem, is greed is so great that you got to go ahead, and if you're going to have a reckoning of how to go ahead and control the system, you got to figure out, well, is democracy is what is the problem with democracy? Why hasn't it worked in the last 250 years? What do we need to do better? What is the path forward kind of deal, and how is our path forward? It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen, slowly over a period of maybe 10 to 20 years of changing the pattern, identifying the pattern.
I'm glad.
Go ahead, brother.
I'm glad we both agree that a UBI is a necessity. How we go about doing it, we may differ, and I enjoy the banter. But it's time to move on to Dumbass of the Week. So,
thank goodness.
As the guest, man, please go ahead. You have the honors.
Well, boy, a lot of dumbasses. I might have to pick an agency here.
That's fine.
So NOAA, the National Oceanic Air and Administration, blah, 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 blah. I think they're actually, because of their work down in Texas area a lot, their development in that system and them experimenting with weather and different things and how it would connect to, say, Florida, and how you would have a heart machine, let's say, and a seeding of clouds, and how you would change your pattern because the country's paying you now to seed their clouds in another area. I would think that OSNet, open source intelligence, is going to make you look like a piece of shit here soon. So I hope you guys aren't environmental henchmen. I really hope. I meant if you guys are playing this climate change game and you're doing that to kind of show like there's a big ass problem, like you've been having problems coming out, lack of oil, we're going to run out of oil in the 70s, Y2K, whatever shit you come up with next year, I think you should think about how you're making actually religious people look. If you're actually working prophecy, which is for profit, making it look like the end of days because of climate catastrophe, I would think you don't want to do that. As a religious person, as a man of God, which I am a man of God, I don't define that God because I believe in Pentecost, which means that any child, whether you're any religion, could be the next one chosen to lead us. And if you're actually killing children and doing shit because of this environmental hatchet man Trump and other shit, Dunleavy, whatever, you should stop right now. You should meet me actually in Peltola's office before this gets out of hand. Because I looked at your little racket and what you've been doing up in the fishery, and I started looking at open source and your call letters, your call signs for boats, your call signs for your planes, they're painting an image, and it's not a good image. So break away from Saudi Arabia, break away, and stop hurting. Please stop. Please stop what you're doing in Alaska. That's all I got to say, brother.
All right. So my dumbass of the week is, I guess, also kind of a collective. It's the entire House GOP, from Mike Johnson and the lies he told, from James Comer to the lies he told, to the egg on their face for having nothing on President Biden and not bringing him up on impeachment charges. Instead, they're using their nastiness just to refer him to the Department of Justice. And just so you know, if there were evidence of impeachment and wrongful doing, they would have done it. The fact that they punted it to the Department of Justice is just further proof that there's nothing, because the Department of Justice will not bring charges on this. And those are my dumbasses of the week. And thanks, everybody. Thank you, Brent, for joining us on the show.
Come on, brother.
And I hope you guys have a very safe and fun weekend. Remember, be kind to one another and treat each other the way you want to be treated. I'm Gene, and we'll see you next week.